Hello viewers, I hope you're doing well. It has really been long ever since we last met. Yes, previously we have looked at a number of themes and ideas in Dev and across, and today we're going to look at what I think will be our very last segment of the themes and ideas in Dev and across. Just in case you missed any videos on this channel, please do not worry. Just go to Google or even to YouTube and type in LELL, Learn English Language and Literature. You will be able to access this channel to watch all the videos we've covered before about this book and about other things. If you're doing English, there are also there lessons on English. So go there and watch the videos that we've looked at previously. As we're going to outline here, you will see that you've missed a lot and perhaps you really need to go back and look at those videos before you can look at this one. Yes, I'm doing this last video on themes and ideas because a number of comments have come from my viewers that they needed some help on the analysis of these particular two first themes: injustice and oppression, and then betrayal and hypocrisy, and then somehow fate and destiny. And I believe by the end of this lesson, you should be able to handle these themes. If you're a student and if you're a teacher, you should be able to see how you can handle this. Yes, it's good for us to first look at what we have covered so that you can know if at all you should continue or not. Yes, previously we have looked at the theme of corruption, we have looked at exploitation, we've looked at neocolonialism, we've looked at elitism. Yes, some people actually told me they did not find how else they can call elitism. That is very possible because it is termed in a different way, but this is actually what we can also refer to social classes. Some books actually present that as social classes. We also looked at resistance, revolution, and national liberation. That was actually our last video. It was having another video in it which we called greed and materialism. So if you missed those videos, go back and look at them. Then today, just like I told you before, we're going to look at injustice and oppression. We shall look at betrayal and hypocrisy, and then fate and destiny as far as devil on the cross is concerned. Yes, the last two, I believe that people will be able to look at this. If at all we take you through on how you should plot those themes and bring them out, you'll be able to do this as a student. So just stay tuned and look at this. Now, we have also got a channel, EduTech, online schools. Yes, that's the reason as to why I'd actually taken long without coming back here. This is because we've been so much engaged with the learners who have visited us coming for online lessons. So we are handling online lessons even up to now. We shall be handling them even when schools are open. We are going to be doing coaching every weekends, and every time the learner is having to, or they feel like we should be doing coaching, we shall be meeting the needs of such learners. So when you go to Google and search EduTech, it will bring you this information. You only have to click on website and you'll be able to meet us. And just in case you're not able to do that, you can simply type this link in Google or whatever browser that you could be using, and you'll be able to access our website. Well, you'll be able to see a lot of information there. We're now having both primary and a secondary school, and we're also working on school management systems and also designing websites. Just in case you have any of these needs, these visitors, our fees for coaching or online lessons are actually very, very small. And after presenting a video like this one, the notes are actually posted in the EduTech platform. So don't miss. If you need notes and maybe sample essays, past papers, and marking guides for these videos, whatever that we're discussing here, you'll find them in EduTech. So don't miss. That aside, we have to proceed with our lesson for today. Yes, we have looked at the previous videos, and it is always important, like we have always done, to start by defining what the key vocabulary is. Today, we're looking at injustice and oppression. Then after this, we're going to look at another one. That's the, like I had already mentioned in the beginning. What do we mean by injustice and oppression? We shall break this into smaller bits to understand it better. If there is any absence of justice, in a system or whatever environment you are around or that is surrounding you, that is what we call injustice, if there is no justice. And to make it even much simpler, it is a situation where there is violation of either a right or rights of another person. That is injustice. Violation of one's rights is injustice. So if you look at the book and you see where there is absence of justice, where something should have been handled justly, but then it is not, that is injustice. So point out all incidences in the book where you see that there is someone whose rights are violated, or there is someone whose right is violated. That is injustice. What about oppression? This is the unjust or cruel exercise of authority or power. No? Unjust or cruel exercise of authority or power, where someone misuses their office to step on another person or another person's rights, where someone is treated in a cruel way, an unjust way, all that's going to be oppression. Now, this is why you cannot separate injustice from oppression. They move together, just like you can't separate betrayal from hypocrisy. They move together. So let's go on and look at the different instances in the book where we are seeing injustice and oppression in the book. Well, I believe that previously we have looked at something that looks like this, and for the students this would be a very good map for you to always analyze the different aspects of the book. So just in case it is interesting for you, can you go on and copy a leaf from here? Yes, so here we're looking at injustice and oppression. Let's look at the book. Where exactly do we see injustice and oppression? Let's look at Boskhara and Waringa, especially when Boskhara has asked Waringa to remain behind and they're in this office of his, and then Waringa, innocent, doesn't know what's going to happen. Then later on, he's attempting to force her into a sexual affair, which Waringa is not willing to take on. But Boskhara has to insist and keep pushing for her, promising different things for her, and then actually promising heaven for her. But yet we know that Waringa has gone through a lot of such cases and she doesn't want to go on with it. But there is that kind of force from Boskhara who wouldn't want her to leave unless she has provided what he wants from him, from her. So that is injustice. Reason being, Boskhara is a boss to Waringa. So we expect him to give that respect just like Waringa gives him a boss and an employee. So this is a very unjust for Boskhara to expect to go under Waringa's hands, using the opportunity of being his boss, being her boss, just to exploit her. That is very unjust. Then Boskhara also has worked or has overworked workers over time. This is a story that Muturi gives us when we're in the Matatu driving to Imorog. Muturi is actually on the way going to Morocco because he has been fired from his workplace, and incidentally he has been working for Boskhara, the same boss. But these people have been unfairly treated, they have been unfairly paid. So when one time they wake up to say, no, we're going to demonstrate against this, Boskhara calls all of them and says, you know what, we're going to make these matters better, so settle, go back to work. And then later on, of course, the first instance is that it is unjust for you to overwork workers, to underpay them, because the description that Muturi gives us when we are in the Matatu going to Morocco really indicates that these people are underpaid and yet they are overworked. So instead of bringing the police to settle matters, bring justice to them, it brings the police to carry the ringleaders of the demonstration. And that is, of course, among them is Muturi. And therefore, these people are fired from their jobs. So this is also injustice. We expect that when you are working with me, when I'm working for you, you should be paying me exactly what I deserve. But he is overworking them, is paying them peanuts. And when they demonstrate, it does not bring justice, or maybe try to satisfy their needs, but rather brings the police to kick them out of their workplace. So this is injustice. Yes. When we proceed, in the beginning of the book, we see Waringa struggling with a lot of issues, and then later on, the most paramount ones we can talk about is in the landlord's rentals. Yes, we know that these rentals are actually described as being nests. Yeah, houses or rentals, or simply nests. This description actually talks about how these houses always leak, and this means they're in a poor condition. The landlord actually does not come to Waringa inquiring if she can shift to any place and they renovate the houses to make them better for the people who are staying there. But instead it comes to tell her, no, we are increasing the fees for these rentals. And Waringa, incidentally, yeah, is a person who wants to seek freedom, is free, wants to speak the truth. I will not increase, I'm not going to add any money on the fees that I'm paying for these rentals. First of all, they're in a bad condition. And then the exchange of what's there does not result into anything good. Anyway, the landlord has to go and bring the police and kick Waringa out of the houses. Yes, we know that it is good for people to pay rent, the landlords and landladies, but then we should pay for exactly what we deserve. But surely the houses are in a bad condition. They are leaking. They have holes all over. But the rent fees are always increasing. And the landlord doesn't mind whether people stay there in a comfortable life or not. Instead, what he or she minds about is getting money from them. This is also injustice in the fact that she does not take care of the rentals to be better for people's lives, but rather minds about how much are they giving me, and if they're not giving me, I'm not going to do anything. Now, the most important aspect to look at that form of injustice is in the fact that Waringa does not have anywhere to go. Instead, when she brags that she's going to bring the land tribunal into the matters, yes, the landlord comes with the police. Actually, are they the police? They are thugs. They are thugs. They imrog. The thugs which will later learn that they actually work hand in hand with the group and those of Mwaura. So these people have been terrorizing people in Nairobi for so long, and those are the people that the landlord brings on board and tells her, mocks her actually, here is your land tribunal, now report to them. Of course, they have come to kick her out, and they even leave a warning to them. We are the devil's angels. Make a mistake and report anywhere. You are finished. So that is the injustice we're talking about, that Waringa does not have anywhere to go to seek justice. Because in any case, we should be having a group of officers or an office in the country, an office in the community, handling such cases of cruel and unjust chasing away of the tenants from houses that they have been renting. Then the rich old man from Gorika to Waringa is also another case of injustice. We know that this girl has been seeking an opportunity to be a really very brilliant person, educated, and is seeking an opportunity to be an academician in the future. But then when she's crossed by the devil, the rich old man from Gorika is really a devil to this girl because he kills all the dreams she has. So when she's crossed by that one who promises heaven on earth, no, and then later when she gets pregnant, she cannot mention a word to him. That is injustice, because that's the very opportunity that this gentleman uses to leave Waringa, actually dumping her, really dumping her. So the cruelty that she goes through from the time she's jilted by the rich old man from Gorika, that's Gatoria's father, that we learn later about, is too unjust. It is too much injustice to a young girl whose education you have killed, and then you cannot accept her in the life of a mother that you have made. That is injustice. Then Wangari is also another incident to look at when we talk about injustice. When we're in the court in Nairobi, after she has looked for a job here and there, and then rotating back to the same shop that she had come before, people suspecting she must be a thief. And ironically, of course, when we begin looking at the narrative techniques, especially about irony, we shall be bringing all of this on board. Ironically, a fellow black is the one who actually hoodwinks her, sit down, come down, I'm going to. Then from there, it is the boss and the police who come to take Wangari to the courts of law. Well, that having been said, let us talk about the court incidences. Wangari is unjustly treated. Let's look at what do we expect Wangari to have done. She's a person who fought for independence of this country, and she seeks to receive the best from the country she fought for. Now, she's looking for a job. Sincerely speaking, a dramatic irony is here. We know that, yes, she's not a thief. She's looking for a job. Yes. And then we know that even the people that are putting her in the courts of law know that she could be looking for a job. But the injustice is in the fact that she is put in the courts of law when she's innocent. And the judge is not a fellow black man to judge Wangari, actually to listen to her crime, to listen to her case, to listen to her present. Whatever takes place in the court is too much injustice, because even the little money she has that could be taking her back to Imorog is taken away from her. That is injustice. We expect that in such a case, the court should offer, an opportunity for her to go and do the job they are sending her for, because she promises to go and gather the police in Imorog and arrest the thieves because she knows where they gather. But then instead of offering her transport and say, okay, now you can go, and we think we're deploying you as one of our people, our investigators. Instead, they take money away from her. And she's a woman who almost fails to reach home, because even the person that has to take her home, Mwaura, almost leaves her on the way. That's because she doesn't have transport. Had it not been for the mercy of Waringa, of Muturi, and Katuria. So this is too much injustice. Then we'll talk about Wangari also having served in the rebellion, that's the Mau Mau rebellion, and then overthrowing the colonialists. And she's the very person today who cannot access a job, who cannot live in the good life that she had expected, she and her friends had anticipated after fighting for the for liberty, for freedom. So this is also injustice, especially coming from the country's leadership. The government seems not to have really taken care for the people who fought for the liberation of Kenya. So this Wangari is representing very many people that fought for the country, fought for the countries of Africa, and up to now are languishing in poverty and suffering. They're instead languishing in the injustices of the different sectors of the country. This is also very big injustice for people who fought for the country and they cannot live a better life. Another case of injustice is going to be picked from Kihahu's packages of the slogans that he takes in cheating and rigging elections. Yeah, he brags a lot about how he participates in the elections and then hoodwinks the different women to sing very good songs about him. Son of Kihahu, you've brought liberty to us, then bring land, and then doing, all these things are simply cheating, because he's trying to brainwash these women, these young children, to make it appear like he is the best candidate. But we know that deep there, Kihahu is a very dirty cop. Now, this is a person who also goes on to do a lot of vote rigging, and this is also injustice, especially to the people who he's going to represent. And as he goes on in his leadership, you see that there is a lot of injustice and that politics and oppression that he partakes. Then whatever that he takes his counterparts through, people who have stood with him in the same position or the political career, they are traumatized, they're threatened, some of them are killed, and this is all injustice. Then we shall talk about the police that comes to arrest Wangari and Muturi instead of the thieves that they have called them to come and arrest in the cave. Yes, Afande Kakon is another person who practices a lot of injustice in the book Betrayal in the City. He has been called, and the case is clear. The thieves are in the cave, and we know these are thieves, but instead the irony is that he arrests the people who call him. So all this is injustice. Yes, we shall proceed and look at the other case of injustice, the rearrest of Wangari and then Muturi in the court premises. Yes, we know that later on, after Wangari has been arrested in the cave and Muturi, they are taken away. But later on, they tell us that they are 2 years later, when we see Waringa again. Of course, this is the time when she's preparing to visit together with her lover, to visit the home, Katuria's home. But this is the very time when also Wangari and Muturi are presented in the courts of law. But just after they have been released, the court actually realized they don't have any crime. After they have been released is the time when they arrest them again. Which one is a very big irony, because this is a court premise, and we expect the court premises to be protected by the law. But then that is where the soldiers come in to rearrest people that have already been released on court orders. Well, when you begin looking at the relevance of this book and the relationship between devil and the cross, and the society we are living in, we shall be bringing these cases back. Because yes, in our countries, in Uganda, in Kenya, in other countries, we've seen cases where people have been released on court bail and then they are rearrested immediately. These cases are so many in our countries, and sometimes people who are doing literature, when you look at them, yes, you feel like, yeah, I think literature is a prophecy. And actually, we're having cases where today some politicians are pushing, in Uganda particularly, they are pushing for the removal of bail, for some cases. So all these are the injustices that take place in Devon and Cross and also take place in our own countries. We shall look at that one later. Then lastly, about the injustice and oppression is the interference of the whites in the affairs of Kenya. We see that in the cave, these whites have really come back to represent the colonialists that left long ago. These are people, according to the story, of course, that the master of ceremony presents as we're entering the cave. He talks about the boss who left and went to a far country and then left. All that allusion, we shall look at that when we're looking at narrative techniques, allusion and allegory. But all of this is a representation of the whites who seem not to have left Africa at all, who seem not to have left Kenya at all. They are still meddling in the affairs of Kenya and Africa at large. So this is an injustice to the people who you have said are free. You've left them, but you are ruling all the economies, activities, especially the monetary sector. The businesses are owned by the whites. And of course, at the beginning of the book also see this, that, well, the whites seem not to have gone, because when they are crucified, as we looked at the explanation in the first video on the analysis of the title, as the devil is crucified, is carried off after 3 days, carried off the cross by the of course, people from Kenya, but this time around a different group of people. So this symbolically shows that the whites have not left Kenya at all. They have been lifted back. They are back in their country. But of course, the hand that just them is the hand of the peasants, the Wangaris, the Muturis, and then the hand of the rich, the Gitutu Wakatangurus, the Kihahu Wakathikas, the Kimenderu Wakinywaji, and others are the ones who have lifted the whites back. And this is also injustice that we can talk about. Well, I know there could be other cases of injustice in the book, and I want to just move on and look at those cases of injustice instead, because we cannot exploit all of them in one video like this one. We're going to move on and look at another part of the themes. So today, like we said in the beginning, we're going to be looking at two themes, and the first one is so far done. Injustice and oppression is so far done. We're now looking at the second theme, and that is betrayal and hypocrisy. Well, we have to begin by understanding the key words, like we did for the first theme. What do we mean by betrayal? What do we mean by hypocrisy? If you did literature at all level and we are looking at betrayal in the city, this should be very simple for you. But anyway, betrayal is simply an act or a fact of violating the trust or confidence of another person. It is the act of violating the trust that someone has in you. In any case, a situation where an individual trusts you and then you, secretly, you backbite them. You do things that are not equal to what they are doing for you. That is betrayal. Someone overtrusts you, and then somewhere, somehow, you are this person who digs holes in their future or in even their present, who really doesn't wish them well. That is what we call betrayal. And like I said, we cannot separate betrayal from hypocrisy. Let us look at the definition of hypocrisy, and you see that it is very hard to separate them. A situation where there is a failure to follow one's own expressed moral rules and principles. The situation where someone fails to follow their own moral rules and principles. It is either you fail to follow your own principles and rules, or another person's rules and principles, but particularly if you agreed to follow them. So today you agree that, you know what, this is a school and a school has school rules and regulations. Then you agree, you sign an agreement, because I believe in every school that is there. You agree to the school rules and regulations. Then tomorrow you begin breaking them. That is hypocrisy. You are a hypocrite. Why? Because you agree to do that and you're doing the opposite. And in any case, you're therefore a betrayer. That is betrayal. So you can't separate betrayal from hypocrisy. And when you are looking at themes and ideas, even when you're in exams, dear students, do not forget and present betrayal alone as a theme. Then later you present hypocrisy alone as a theme. That won't apply. You have to combine them. Yes, we shall proceed and look at the different cases where we see betrayal and hypocrisy in the book. I think by this time you should be able to plot some of them after looking at the explanation of those. But anyway, we shall do it together. So the first case of betrayal and hypocrisy is actually Boss Kara to Waringa. It is big betrayal that Boss Kara does not respect the trust that Waringa has as an employee of his company. Instead, he wants to begin looking into the private sector. Yes, I hope you understand that. The private sector of Waringa wants to have sex with her. No, Boss Kara doesn't only betray Waringa. Boss Kara also betrays himself as a boss. We expect him to respect himself as a boss. No company will have that, whenever you are having a sexual challenge, you should be going to feast on your employees. That is wrong. So that is betrayal on himself, on the company, on Waringa. Then lastly, is actually betrayal from Waringa to the church, because we learn in the very story that Boss Kara is actually one of the leaders of a local church. So in one way or the other, is also betraying the religion. That is biblical betrayal, actually biblical hypocrisy. And then maybe we cannot forget the fact that he's a married man. He's having actually a ring on his hand, on his finger, but he has gone on to force a young woman into a sexual affair. So this is actually betrayal for the family or on his wife. That is how we can talk about betrayal and hypocrisy in that case. Now, students, when you're explaining these things, just make sure that everywhere there is an aspect of betrayal, everywhere there is an aspect of hypocrisy, everywhere there is an aspect of that particular theme. Explain it, mention it, because you don't have to assume that the examiner knows all of this. Let me mention only one illustration of the theme and I go away. That would be wrong. In case you want a sample essay on each of these aspects, please, Educate is having them. EduTech is having them. So just come there and meet them. Then the second aspect of betrayal and hypocrisy is actually John Kimwana to Waringa. We expect John Kimwana to really be very, very honest and very simple. A young girl who has gone through a lot of troubles. She has been sent away from the workplace, and the landlord is actually also at her case. But then when she goes to explain to her lover, the person she expects to get the biggest comfort from, he tells her, we cannot go on with this relationship. He accuses her of having always slept with her boss. This is also a big betrayal and hypocrisy from the side of a lover like John Kimwana. Well, we shall proceed and look at another one. The rich old man from Ngorika is also a very big betrayer on the side of Waringa. Yes, at the beginning he's promised a lot of delicacies, good life, heaven, whatever, and then things turn around and he cannot sustain the relationship. Even when we know that he has all the ability to do that, he pretends to be so loyal to the church, to the family, that he cannot continue the relationship anymore. And that is because Waringa has got pregnant. So that is betrayal and hypocrisy on the side of the rich old man from Ngorika, who will later learn that is actually Gaturia's father. And then the police and the workers, the peasants and the students. Now, these people, the police actually has very good aspect to talk about betrayal, because we expect the police to be moving together with these peasants and the students to the cave and find out what's going on and deliver justice. But the fact that the ringleaders of this demonstration are the ones who are arrested is enough to explain the betrayal of the police on the workers, the peasants and the students, people who are really fighting for the good of the community in Kenya. That is betrayal on the side of the police. And of course, you can't talk about the police if you don't talk about the government, because the police is just one of the arms of the government. So generally, the government has betrayed so much its people that they cannot even see the things that people look at as being bad in the country and what they think can be good for the country. Yes, the court also betrays Waringa in Nairobi. Okay, we expect that surely the courts of law, actually not only in Nairobi, that's I mean Wangari in Nairobi and then Muturi in Morog, and actually both of them in Morog. We expect the courts to be very loyal to its people that bring crimes, that come about issues, and they want them to be presented. No, it is a trust that we expect from the court. But then we know that these people are innocent. Wangari is innocent in the first case in Nairobi. She's not a thief, but of course they take away everything that she has. And when you look at the same cases in Morog, the court does not seem to be having authority over what they have made a decision on. It seems to simply be pleasing the people who are in the courts of law in the room. And then when these people get out of the room, it seems they are not free at all. So that is again betrayal. The court does not have enough strength to stand against the injustice. And that means they don't qualify to really sit in those courts of law. So that is betrayal and hypocrisy. Mwaura and then Kimenderi, we hear in the story, the omniscient narrator tells us that during the Mau Mau rebellion, Kimenderi worked so closely with Mwaura and other thugs to murder, to kill the Mau Mau fighters, people who used to fight for the for the liberation of Kenya. They were instead killed by the same people from Kenya. So fellow Kenyans were killing Kenyans. That is also betrayal and hypocrisy. We expect that people like Mwaura and Kimenderi, who had the power to even kill, should be fighting hand in hand to ensure with the Mau Mau fighters to ensure that there is liberty in Kenya, that there is no more colonialism in Kenya, but instead they're the ones who try to kill the ringleaders and other people who supported the Mau Mau rebellion. So this is actually a very big betrayal and hypocrisy case. But then we may not go away before we talk about the fact that it is a Mwaura who is actually hired by the same Kimenderi to go and kill Mwereri wa Mukirai. Just after the instances in the case, the first instances in the case. So this is also betrayal on the side of these Kenyans. A Kenyan who is killing a fellow Kenyan simply because they're expecting handouts from the whites. No, they are doing this because they want to please the whites. And of course, we know that at the end of the competition, actually it is Kimenderi who takes the crown. So this generally indicates how betrayal and hypocrisy has eaten deep in the community of Kenya. And no wonder even Wangari later on and Muturi cannot get out of jail. Then the government of Kenya has also betrayed the former fighters like Wangari. These are the people who fought for the liberation of Kenya, but they're the ones who are languishing in poverty, joblessness, backwardness, and the people who are suffering with crimes in the courts of law, fabricated crimes in the courts of law. So the government of Kenya hasn't done enough. And remember, in the first videos, we said that we are not looking at Kenya as a country alone. When we talk about Kenya, we're talking about African continent. All countries in Africa are portrayed in Devon across. Then lastly, we can talk about the Kenyan rich men or the middlemen or the middle class. Have also done a lot in the betrayal of Kenyans, of fellow Kenyans. They seem to be living on cloud nine when it comes to matters of the country. They are on Mars. They don't look at Kenya as their country. They look at, or they don't look at Kenya as a country for the black people. They look at Kenya, somehow, they look at themselves as people who belong to a different class of people. They seem to be whites. And you look at people like Gaturia's father, who, for example, does not want anybody to come to their party unless they have bought clothes from a particular class of shops, the clothes from England, from Europe. No clothes should come from any other part of the world apart from those Western countries. Ironically, when Waringa enters wearing typically in an African way, everyone is stunned. Well, we shall look at that one when we talk about irony later and look at the effectiveness of that irony. But generally, these rich people have so much betrayed Kenya. Kenya will not seem to develop because People who should be investing in it are not investing for it, they're investing for the Western world. For example, look at Kimendero, who suggests that they would package air, take it abroad, and then after packaging it from abroad, they will bring it back and it will be branded, made in America, made in China, made in, that kind of betrayal is too much on the country like Kenya. We shall proceed. Just in case you need essays on these topics, maybe about a particular theme, whatever, feel free to contact us. All these ones are on EduTech. We shall be able to help you. If you need coaching, like I told you, still EduTech is still taking on that. Just come there and we shall be doing the different lessons with you. Yes, now the other things that I want you to look at, these ones are going to be your assignments. Just look at fate and destiny, do the same, define what you mean by fate and destiny, and then outline all the instances in the book where there is fate. Yes, it is true that some instances in the book actually seem to be predetermined, that someone seems to really has got a life that they should live and no one should change it. So look at all those instances in the book, fill them there, and then feel free to take to your teacher for marking, or else you can actually submit to us on EduTech and shall be able to help you. The same will happen with despair and disillusionment. Do the same thing. Just describe what you mean by despair or disillusionment. Then look at all the instances in the book where seems to be too much pessimism, disillusionment, despair, and then we shall be able to move on with you. Yes, just in case there is anything else that you need, feel free to contact us. Either you can comment on these videos or you can go to our to EduTech and then you shall find us. Like I told you, it is very simple. You simply have to go to Google and then type in EduTech. You can type them in small letters and then it will bring for you a Google map. I'm going to show you that, and then you just click on website, you'll be able to reach us. But for now, you can also be able to find us on this number, or you can email us. You can send us a mail on edutech2021@gmail.com. And just in case you've not subscribed to this channel, please do hit the subscribe buttons just below this video on the right hand side. Subscribe so that you do not miss any video. Every time there is a new video coming on board, they will be informing you. You'll just be seeing that so that you don't miss anything. The next thing that we're going to look at is going to be narrative techniques, and by the way, we're looking at irony and symbolism. So irony, satire, and symbolism. So don't miss anything there. For more information, notes that you want to download for these videos, they are always found on EduTech and this app. Thank you very much for watching, and please stay tuned. Thank you.